they want to say something, put some special souvenirs of Vietnam to share with the people in their own countries. So we both are very happy with that.
That's really beautiful. So besides providing them with basic necessities like food or accommodation, what are the other mental support or emotional support that you gave them during their difficult time?
It depends on the patient situation. With some severe case, especially with the ventilated case, after they recover, so we try to help them to go back to the normal activity, like we try to help them to walk on their foot, also try to help them to breathe deep in their lung. So it is also like the supportive, but it takes many times because every day the nurses need to walk by side the patient to go around the room, and it takes at least 1 week. Then the patient can go on their own foot. It is the supportive treatment, but it is very important to help the patient to recover. For my patient, so we don't need to care much about their severe situation, but many other support because they have the baseline disease like diabetes, hypertension, or the malignant disease. So we need to provide other treatment for those cases. And the other group they are very young and they are not in so severe situation, so the treatment is easier, and it is also easier for us to try to persuade them to stay in the hospital for at least 14 days.
Yeah, what about you, Dr. Zhang? I heard that some patients said that you're very helpful and talk to them a lot and maybe say some jokes sometime to help cheer them up. Can you share more about that?
Yeah, actually we did like that, and not only me but also our doctor spend more time with them to encourage them, to cheer up them, and we also connect with the embassy of their country in Hanoi, and some of them also have like a private doctor in their country, so they connect us with their doctor in their countries, and we discuss about their disease, we share the information, and finally we found a way to help the patient, to make the patient trust us and believe in us, and also trust in the therapy. So that's why the patient feel happy and feel pleasure to stay here with us for long days. We share with them not only about the disease but also about our culture, our difficulty during the time we stay here. Because that all of us stay in the hospital 24. So we also need to looking for some friends, and also talking with them is the way for us to practice English. Because normally we only work with Vietnamese, but this time we have many foreigners. So we take this opportunity to talk in English, to share story in English.
Yeah, you are acting like a bridge connecting them to our Vietnamese culture, and that's what a beautiful story it is. Thank you.
Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, the National Hospital for Tropical Diseases has moved all patients undergoing treatment there to another place and is dedicated solely to the treatment of COVID-19 patients. So far, the hospital had treated 140 COVID-19 patients, 17 of whom are foreigners.
I have to say that the organization as well as treatment process of Vietnam is very professional. The patients here are divided into different wards depending on their condition, which limits the chance of cross-infection. The food in here is very good. We have a choice of Western or Vietnamese dishes, but I always like the Vietnamese rice, with very diverse food like fish, meat and vegetables.
And many foreigners whose life was saved have shown gratitude.
I really appreciate everything you've done for us. At least we survived, and we thank you for that.
I just feel very grateful to Vietnam for all that they've done, because particularly ICU, it's just been wonderful.
Tôi rất xúc động và muốn là bày tỏ sự cảm ơn của tôi đối với các bác sĩ, y tá và nhân viên của bệnh viện.
Thank you to Vietnam, your medical system, your doctors. I am absolutely amazed. Now I've got a real urge to come back to Vietnam. I want to do the journey I had planned.
So how about you guys? We talked a lot about the patients, but now what about the doctors who have been at the hospital? Do you miss home?
Yeah, so we have to stay here for almost 2 months to take care of the positive patients, and of course when we take care of them, and we hope that they can go home someday. But for us, we also hope that after all of them can go home, so it's our turn to go home with our family. So we think that days will come soon.
What about you, Dr. Ning? Is it more difficult to be a woman, fighting in this combat against COVID-19?
It is not only for Dr. Zhang or me. I think it's the same situation for all the staff in our hospital, because many people here we stay for at least 2 to 3 weeks, and the longest maybe more than 3 months. We stay all in the hospital 24 hours per day, and it is so stressed that you're always facing with many severe patients, and in case you can directly look at some case that when they admitted they in very even asymptomatic, or they don't have any specific symptom, but after 1 week or 2 weeks they become more severe. It is so stressed that you see the patient getting worse and worse. It is at the beginning of the disease, of the pandemic, but now we have many recovered patients and we see their situations better. So it is also good emotion for us. We feel much better, and we hope that in the very, very near future we can coming home.
I'm really curious about how you guys feel at the hospital, because you saw so many cases, severe cases, life and death moments. Were you scared?
Yeah, so at the beginning, we also anxious and scared about that, but we identify that we have to fight against the outbreak, the disease, and we have to cure a patient. If we want to go home, we have to serve all of them, and all of them can go home, we can go home.
Bệnh nhân Alex đang khó thở. Xin ý kiến chỉ đạo.
Ok, đã nghe rõ.
Ngày thứ Bảy và ngày Chủ nhật thì bọn mình hoàn toàn là không có nghỉ. Tất cả các nhân viên bệnh viện thì đều làm việc tối thiểu là